Within anatomy and physiology at AS level, we touch on some basic biomechanics, and perhaps this video looks at the absolute fundamentals of motion and force that will help you understand the following small topics. So here's the specification. You've got to understand the types of motion produced by different sporting techniques, give examples of them, and understand the effects of the size of a force and the direction of a force on performance. So, 3 types of motion in sport. These examples show those. So the first one is linear motion, where a body will move in a straight or a curved line, but the fundamental thing here is that all parts of that body move at the same speed and in the same direction. So a skydive would be another example of that, you know, literally falling, everything moving at the same rate. The monoski there, the performer is skiing and every element of the body moves in the same direction at the same speed. Something a little bit different then, this gymnast rotating around the bar there is performing angular motion, and this is when the whole or part of a body will move around a fixed point or axis. So the bar in this example is the axis and the whole body is rotating around that axis. Now it also can be part of a body, so it could be a limb. For example, bowling, your arm rotates around the axis of your shoulder joint, or when you run or cycle, your hip and knee joints act as axes and the bones rotate around them. So it can be part of a body or a whole body. And then finally, running here actually combines both of these 2 types of motion. So running is an example of general motion, which is a combination of both linear and angular motion. Your torso, so that the main part of your trunk is moving linearly, whereas the joints are performing angular motion and rotating around those joints. So we then have to look at what is force. By definition, a force is a push or a pull that alters or tends to alter the state of motion of a body, and it's absolutely fundamental to all our sports actions. So a force can have a variety of effects on an object or a body. Here we go. So it can change a body from rest to movement. So for example, a golf ball on a tee, you know, it can change that ball from being stationary on the tee to moving through the air. A force applied to an object can change its direction. So a cue ball in snooker hitting another ball will change direction. It can cause objects to accelerate. So this could be you running and you accelerate, or you cycling, you accelerate. Forces also cause deceleration, so slowing down of a body. Again, that could be you running or cycling as an example. And objects or bodies can change shape when a force is exerted on it, and we'll go through an example in a second of how that can happen. So the effect of force can have these 5 outcomes. So here's an example, a goalkeeper and a penalty taker. Just have a little think, maybe pause the video and go through those 5 things, thinking about, in fact I'll pop them there, look, how does a force being applied make these 5 outcomes? How could you apply those 5 outcomes to this example? So, rest to move, so an object from rest to motion. Could be the ball on the penalty spot. When a force has been applied by the penalty taker, the ball is then moving, or the goalkeeper is at rest, stationary, stood up, and then they apply a force via their legs onto the ground, and then they create motion. So there's a couple of examples of how that outcome can be explained through this example. Changing direction. So again, the ball makes contact with the goalkeeper's gloves, and the ball might ping off at a different direction. Acceleration. This could be the ball being struck at the penalty spot. The force applied by the kicker will create acceleration in the ball. Obviously, the harder or the larger the force that is applied, the greater the acceleration. The goalkeeper's gloves contacting the ball as it's approaching will decelerate the ball, so slow the ball down, so it'll take a lot of the speed off the ball. And changing shape, so it could be that we look at the striker kicking the football, and as they make contact with the football, both the striker's foot may change shape a little bit, and also the ball itself will probably change shape a little bit in terms of that contact point. And you could also apply the same explanation to the goalkeeper's gloves and the ball, so a small change of shape through contact, through the forces being applied to the ball and the foot. So this has really gone through what a force is. We need the push or pull of a force to change the shape or the motion of a body or an object, and force has 5 main outcomes, and you'd need to be able to explain those in an exam question.